The good news tonight, there are 3 vaccines available to help protect us from COVID-19. We could feel the excitement and hope as the first Pfizer shots rolled out of its manufacturing facility in Portage in mid-December. The second emergency use authorization came for Moderna a few days later on December 18th. Then on February 27th, the news Johnson & Johnson's vaccine would also be available.
Now, each of the 3 vaccines has gone through an intense FDA review process.
They've also been the subject of day-long public meetings where a panel of independent experts dug through the data, ultimately recommending each for emergency use.
Leading that critical committee, Dr. Arnold Monto, a world-renowned epidemiologist from the University of Michigan School of Public Health. We asked Dr. Monto to reflect on the vaccine's success and what's next.
These vaccines, the ones that have been approved, are so above the expectation.
The original goal of the COVID-19 vaccines was to be at least 50 to 60% effective. They've far surpassed that. Dr. Arnold Monto says their success has been a great surprise.
Not so much because of the speed with which they were produced, but with the luck at having the design of some of the vaccines all worked out in advance because of work that was done on the original SARS and on MERS. It was a relatively simple vaccine to produce. One part of the virus seems to produce protection.
He says the biggest challenge facing the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee has not been evaluating the actual vaccines, but rather not being able to gather in person to do it.
The biggest challenge is really the fact that we're doing this remotely. We really have little opportunity to have the kind of discussion that you would have where you didn't have to be recognized and not talk over somebody else.
Monto cautions there is always a potential risk of unexpected reactions with new vaccines. However,
the probability of that is very low. With most vaccines, if you see problems, you're going to see them early, usually in the first 6 weeks. And now we've had these vaccines used in millions of people.
He's very concerned about people who are reluctant to get vaccinated.
Those people who are thinking about not getting the vaccine should look at those who really want to get the vaccine, who are doing all sorts of things to get the vaccine, and say, am I missing something? Because they are.
Monto also cautions against states dropping precautions prematurely.
I'm very upset and concerned about those states who are just throwing everything away. Everybody who's tried to predict what's going to happen tomorrow with this virus has been wrong. And to really throw caution to the winds, to open everything up all of a sudden is not the way to go, because you want to do it gradually and see what the effects are.
As for when things will be more normal,
I have a feeling things are going to be better this summer. We may still be wearing masks, but that's just a petty annoyance. Things are going to gradually be better, and I think the key thing to do is to do it gradually.
Dr. Monto says there will be more vaccines coming before the advisory committee for their consideration. They may also be called on to examine the data on how the vaccines perform in children once those trials are finished.
And Frank, having 3 vaccines has created an interesting situation, especially in the city of Detroit, where Mayor Mike Duggan caused a little bit of a stir by initially declining a shipment of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Now, he has since, of course, started a clinic specifically for giving out that vaccine. But what do you say to people who are concerned the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, at least in the test results, doesn't look to many to be as effective as the others?
Well, you know, Kim and Devin, the vaccines weren't tested at the same time in the same places, so it's just not possible scientifically to truly compare them head to head. With vaccine in such short supply, the CDC has been very clear about their advice to get the first vaccine that is available to you. Now, there's research in progress to actually see if a second dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine could boost the protection of that shot even higher. But for now, we know that all 3 vaccines reduce the risk of being hospitalized or dying from COVID-19, and ultimately, that is what matters the most.
So right.